Okay, guys, it's about, oh boy, 2:15 in the afternoon. John and I just turned off the dreaded Route 70, and we're now on Yale Road. A little less traffic than Route 70, but again, not too much of a shoulder. And again, you know, you're on this bike ride, you start thinking about stuff. So I have a two-part story here. It has to do with adventure and a little philanthropy. Involves my friend Artie Fitzpatrick, my daughter Kelly, my son Steven. I guess some of you guys know I retired from the New York City Fire Department in December of 2012. And the first thing I wanted to do when I retired was I wanted to go to Everest Base Camp. I didn't want to go to the summit of Everest. I know my limits, but I did want to see the Himalayas in person. So my first call to my son Steve. I said, Steve, I want to go to Everest Base Camp. How do I go about it? Because Steve's like, he's a basket of knowledge. He knows how to get everything done. So Steve goes to me, Dad, look up Lonely Planet on the internet and search for a expedition to Everest Base Camp. So that's exactly what I did. I went on the internet, put in Lonely Planet, and bing, trip leaving in May to Everest Base Camp. So I got in contact with them, found out some of the details, told my son Steven knew about it, let my daughter Kelly know. And Kelly said to me, Dad, I want to go on that trip. She was a senior at the University of Richmond at the time, and she was graduating in May. So how do you like that? The trip was going to be towards the end of May, and Kelly was graduating. So those stars lined up. But I said to Kelly, you gotta train for this expedition. I said, train like you, she ran a couple of half marathons. I said, train like you're training for a half a marathon. I was trying to get myself in shape also for it. And the wheels are in motion, and Kelly's in on the trip. That's going to be her graduation, a graduation present. I don't know if you can hear me with the wind here. But anyway, you know, it's getting closer to the trip, and my friend Artie Fitzpatrick, who I know from the fire department, we met in lieutenant school. He's an adventurer. He's taken me on a bunch of adventures. He knows I'm doing this, and he goes, Joe, like, you know, this is around May now. What are you bringing on the trip? So I say to Artie, oh my God, I got this brand new esoteric shell. I got these new Merrell boots. I got some smart wool socks. These great gloves. And Artie says to me, Joe, I'm not talking about what you got for yourself. He goes, what are you bringing for the kids over there? So here I am, naive. The kids over there. I'm like, what do you mean, Artie? He goes, Joe, you're going to a third world country. These people have absolutely nothing. You got to bring them something. So I'm like, I don't know what he means. Like, bring candy or something like that or something. He goes, no. He goes, this is what you do. You and Kelly go to the stationery store, buy 100 composition books, pens, pencils, erasers, things for kids in school. And me and Rachel, that was Artie's wife, Rachel, are going to go to a shoe store and buy a bunch of shoes for these kids, because these kids don't even have shoes over there, which was hard for me to fathom. I think this might be my first trip to a third world country. So anyway, Artie and Rachel go to a shoe store, tell them the story. The shoe store gives them like, I don't know, 60 or 70 pairs of shoes at a discounted price. Artie brings them home, puts them in a big trunk. We put the notebooks in the trunk, the pens, the erasers, the pencils. Got this big trunk, and Kelly and I are off to Nepal. That way we stopped over. We had to go stop over, then we're in Nepal. We got this big trunk with us, and then all the stuff we need for our expedition to Everest Base Camp. Now Kelly, instead of training like she was training for a marathon, she trained like it was her last semester in college, which it was. So I think she was busy partying more than training, but that's okay. That's okay. Things always turn out okay anyway. But anyway, we get to the airport in Nepal, we're going to fly to this Lukla airport. That's the strip that Edmund Hillary built. Instead of hiking 3 weeks, you can get on this this puddle jumper for a 1-hour flight. So instead of walking 3 weeks in the woods up and over the mountains, we decided to get on this puddle jumper. The thing is that the puddle jumper wants to charge us $50 for the trunk of shoes. Well, how could we say no? We got them this far. We didn't want to give them away in Kathmandu. We wanted to give them away on the trail to Everest, because that's where you see some really, really poor people. So anyway, we got the trunk is on the plane behind us. The planes fly every half hour, 45 minutes. Kelly and I get on our plane, flying to Lukla Airport and land, and then the plane comes in with the trunk of shoes and notebooks and things like that. So anyway, we had to get a couple of porters to carry. Our guide knew of a school, a Hebrew school in the Himalayas on this trail to Everest Base Camp. It's about I think it's about a 12-day trek to base camp, and it's like 9 days back. So we get 2 porters to carry the trunk of shoes to the Hebrew school, and they had a little ceremony for us because these kids had literally no shoes on their feet, some of them, and the other ones that did have shoes was an eye-opener for me. Anyway, so we gave the shoes to these kids. They put on a ceremony for Kelly and I. They treated us like rock stars. We actually felt a little like rock stars. It was one of the highlights. I mean, there were so many highlights on this trip to base camp. I can't cover them all, but that was just a little thing on philanthropy, and even if you don't have a little money, you can always give something back to people who really need it. So it's a little story, and again, I had to give a shout out to Artie, because Artie took me to Mount Rainier. We didn't summit, but that was an adventure. We did a bunch of adventures in the Adirondacks, swim, bike, all outdoor healthy stuff up in Maine. Yeah, Artie, we had a lot of good times together. Kelly, that was great. Steve, thanks for always helping me out with these trips. If it wasn't for Steve, I wouldn't be navigating with the iPhone. I'd be looking at paper maps. So anyway, shout out to Steve, Artie, and Kelly, and that's enough of me for now. All right, guys, catch up with you later. Oh, and just when we need it here at let's see what time it is. It's 3:25 in the afternoon. Just when we need it, we got ourselves a little greenway trail. So some of those roads were pretty nerve-wracking back there. The cars, holy shit. Oop, pardon my French. The cars, they just weren't the nicest. But that's what happens sometimes, so you got to deal with it. But now we're on a nice greenway, so no cars, just bikes. I do got to mention, even though I mentioned the Everest Base Camp trip, and I was talking about Kelly partying her last semester instead of training. I have to admit, when we were hiking like 12 to 15 miles a day, and we'd hike these tents that were already set up, these camps every 12 or 15 miles. I was always the last one at the camp. Kelly, and there was another girl who had just graduated from law school from Canada, and a tech guy from England. They were the 4 people in our expedition. I was always the last one in, but that was a great trip. Adventure, that's all part of life, right? You gotta have adventures. This is some adventure too, that John and I, this cross-country bike idea is something else. Yeah, alrighty. Hopefully we got smooth sailing. We got like 10 miles to go to our hotel in Memphis. And then we got a day off tomorrow too, so we can chill out. All right, guys, signing off.